Hello guys, what's up? Today we will be talking about geometry nodes. Some guys on my channel started to send me questions about how to create a simple setup for scatter in geometry nodes. Just scatter trees, rocks, anything in landscape level, and also have proxy on the viewport but not in the render, and something like what happened with Forest Pack, at a 3ds Max level. So as I am a 3ds Max artist as well and a Blender artist, so I kind of blend both worlds. I will show you here a quick setup that you can do and save that in an organized way so you can use anytime you are gonna make a scene and having that ready, so you don't need to build that again over and over. Okay, let's do that. So as you know, this is layouts, different layouts. Blender has that. So just choose geometry nodes, setup. Let me do the screencast here so you will be able to see what I'm doing here. Okay, using my mouse pad so you guys can see that. Yeah, what I'm doing. Okay, that's fine, that's good. Okay, so we don't need these guys and we don't need these guys. Let's be simple and clean. Okay, so you just have a plane on your scene. Let's start from scratch. Create a plane, okay, simple plane, and press here geometry nodes. Put a name like scatter basic or something you want it. Okay, and actually I like to put on with caps lock, but that's fine. And then just name it here your scatter. Save that into a collection, scatter base collection or something like that. Okay, and I like to create a new collection inside and call assets. Okay, and inside assets it's where we will be doing the where we will be placing the objects. Okay, let me just change this video and put this guy maybe here, right? Yeah, because I just don't want this me to keep blocking this system here. Okay, all right, perfect, that's perfect. Okay, let's start to do that. So we first need something. Let's cast maybe a rock. Okay, inside the assets. And let's create a simple tree with sampling tree generator. Sapling tree. Okay, go here. Add the. Let me bring the mouse. This guy here. Oh, the mouse is in front of it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's create a simple tree, sapling tree generator. Okay, and here we will go to leaves, see the leaves, show the leaves. Okay, that will be our tree. Okay, just collapse everything, bring it here. Okay, or it can collapse, so convert everything into mesh and then collapse. Ctrl G, collapse everything. Okay, let's go back to our geometry nodes. Oh, good. Okay, the tree and the rock are inside assets. Okay, first of all, what you need to do is you need to have in your geometry node system, you need to have points to scatter on top of your scatter plane. Okay, so in this case we will distribute points on face. I like to use Poison Disk instead of random because I have the control to tell, like, I don't want any points in between some distance, so you can control more or less the distance between the objects. Okay, now let's add a join geometry just to see our plane. Okay, and let's add instance on points. Okay, instance on points. All right, all good. Okay, now we have to create some we have to tell which instance will be on a point. Let's scale this up and let's bring our assets collection here and connect these to instance. Okay, and the only thing we have to do here is basically tell. I want to separate the children, so I want to get everything, all the objects inside the collection as a different object. Okay, reset the children, so that will reset the values of the children for location, rotation and scale, and pick them as an instance, so they will pick them separately. Okay, so that's it. These three must to be turned on if you want to do if you want to scatter objects, all the objects that is inside a collection. Okay, that is inside a collection. All right, that's the very basic. What I like to do, it's like I like to create a group for that collection, so I may have more control over the objects that I will be scattering on that collection. Okay, so what do I normally do? I normally select everything on here. I will create a group. Control G, create a group. Press Tab to go out the group, and I would tell this scatter objects. Okay, and now I can go inside the group, and then I will start to define the parameters that will help my life. It will make my life easier on the go. Okay, I will connect the distance, the minimum distance, the maximum distance, and the density factor. Okay, first. Then I will connect this guy here, so I will have my collection also as an option, and then I will work on the randomization of the rotation. Okay, because right now everything is rotated in the same way, so I will do a utility utility random value. Okay, I will duplicate this random value because for one of them I will use vector for the rotation. Okay, now it's rotating, basically it's taking Z, X and Y. I don't want to take Y or X, I just want to rotate on Z. Okay, for the trees, and for the scale. Okay, so now we have all random scale and random rotation, all of that. All right, does that sounds good? However, I need to have a bit of more of control. Okay, so look at this. I want to have a bit more control of Okay, so I will try something. I'm about to try something new here just to see if that makes sense or not. Anyway, in any case, I will try to replace them for proxies. Okay, right now I will look for a viewport. Is viewport. Okay, now I will look for switch, and now I'm looking for Boolean math. Okay, so I will connect is viewport and Boolean math. This guy here, no, here on switch, and I will do this. Okay, what I'm doing here, I'm telling Blender, let's hide this. I'm telling Blender like this. If I press this button, okay, I will see in my viewport whatever is happening here. So there's nothing happening there, so nothing will show. However, if I take this instance on points, connect here, nothing will happen because now both are the same. But if I bring convex hull and bring this here, you see now I'm seeing more or less that Blender is kind of creating a geometry on top of everything. You can do this, or you can create your own proxies and tell Blender like, okay, I just wanna see this here, the points of a proxy, or you can just, instead of having this, having just the points, okay, or instead of just seeing the convex hue, you put convert that mesh to curve, so you see just this. Okay, you decide, or instead of convex hue you have a bounding box. Okay, you have the bounding box, you name it. You can create so many different levels of proxies. Okay, and I will take this guy and put this guy here as an option as well, and you see why everything that I'm doing will make sense. Okay, right now it seems that it's just a messy, okay, but it's not. It will make sense, and you will see why it will make sense. I also want to have the randomization possibility for rotation here, and for the scale here as well, min and max. All right, so now we will change the name of these guys. We need to see here properties, and then we will see the geometry. Okay, that's the main geometry. That's the distance mean, distance max, distance factor. That's okay. That's the collection, which means which collection I'm representing that. The Boolean name doesn't make sense. We will tell this viewport proxy. Okay, viewport proxy. Okay, max is related to random z rotation z rotation. Okay, or let me see one thing. No, let's call just random rotation, because it gives us all the parameters there. That's fine. Min is scale, mean, and here is scale max. Okay, does that make sense for you? Bam, here we go. Now you have this object, this group. So these groups basically controls everything for you now. Okay, these groups basically control like if you see in your viewport or not, because right now you are seeing this in your viewport, but if you try to render, let's try to render that, it will probably renders everything. Okay, you see it's rendering everything. Okay, so that's for you to control your scattering on your viewport. Okay, that's pretty much the collection that these groups represent, and that's the rotation, that's the scale mean and max. Okay, let's do this, and let's do this distance mean or max, density mean or max. Okay, let's do something like this, right? But what's the point? The point here is you can, if you understand about the geometry nodes and you want to play around with the geometry nodes at this level, you can do that. In your modifier, you will have nothing. Okay? And if you want to have all your scatter inside this level, okay, I forgot one more thing. One thing that I think is important is the seed. Okay, the seed is the way everything is distributed. Okay, why I'm telling you I prefer nowadays to have these options here than there is just because if I start to having lots of things here at this level, I will have such a difficult to name it everything, and it will be not that much organized. Let me tell you why. Because if you want these parameters to be shown here on your modifier level, you just need to connect here. Okay, so you have your distance here. Okay, so you can connect all of these here, and you will have them all at the level of a modifier, right? But I don't want to do that. Why? Because I have to have the possibility to combine different assets and control all of them, better in my collection. So I would have just this group and duplicate them and use them over and over again with multiple objects. Okay, and control all of them on each level. Okay, what I'm saying, I will explain you here. If you take the block, for example, and then let's put the block in a collection called block. Okay, so it disappears here because the collection is outside asset, and this is the asset collection. So let's get the tree and make another collection called tree. Okay, now everything disappears because none of them are inside the assets anymore. Okay, so if I bring these two collections inside assets, you see they will be like scattered there. Okay, but I don't want that. I want them to be controlled separately. Okay, and I think for the time being, for this time, the best way for me to control them, that's my opinion, is having, okay, multiple groups with different collection, right? So I can take this collection here, remove it, and put this just a rock, and this one put this just a tree. So now, right now, we can change the seeds, and they will be distributed separately. And the power of this is that now I can control, for example, I can go to the rocks and rotate not just on Z, but rotate on a different level, stages, okay? And do them and multiply them a lot, like more than the trees. I can go to the trees and spread them out more, okay? I can even go here, for example, on the rocks level, and then define that the trees will not be casting wherever the objects are being casting, okay, here, or just changing the distance mean, or changing the density, or changing just the seeds or something. Or but if the seeds doesn't work, let's say let's increase this amount of rocks. Here we see that we have trees going on inside the rocks, and then we can just do instance, realize instance for the rocks, and put the geometry proximity here, and delete geometry here, delete instance, get the distance from the proximity, go into the selection, get these guys, the rocks, so that the rocks will be the target, okay, the rocks will be the target, and the geometry deleted will be this guy. And let's remove the tree, let's put the tree here, bam. So the trees that are close to the rocks is being deleted, okay. Let's increase the density of the trees to see how many trees we can have in our scene. We don't need to have this as a realized instance, that's just for the sake of the proximity, okay. So now I'm telling Blender, okay, if the tree is near to that rock, the tree will disappear, okay. That's a power of having those separate, and I think you can control them pretty easy. You just need to go to here to the math, add a math node here, and use subtract, okay, and just go to a color ramp. Let's invert this, guys. It tells Blender I want this, okay. So whoever the rock is, the trees will not be getting trespassed by any rock, okay. Okay, so the trees is being scattered all over the place, but none of the rocks will be the trees will avoid to be on top of any rock, okay. And if you reduce the amount of rocks, okay, you'll see that more trees will appear, okay, because it will allows more tree to appear. So that's the main thing, like for you to be able to deal with geometry nodes, and then you can do multiple combinations. Just copy that here, add grass, you know, and add whatever, you know, and take this system here that you had created, okay, take this system here that you had created, and you can just group it, Ctrl G, push it back, and then you name this group here as for example this guy. You can name this as instances removed, instance removed, and the other one instances proximity object, okay. So now you have this situation here. Let's, for example, add a collection of a Suzanne. Let's add a Suzanne, okay, here, Suzanne. Put this inside the Suzanne collection, bam, and then we bring Suzanne here inside assets, okay. And if we just go copy and paste here, instead of a tree, we will place Suzanne collection, and we will join that. We will join the Suzanne collection with everything. Okay, and we will see the Suzanne collection will show up here somehow. Let's change the seed. Let's make the seed different. Let's put the seed maybe 5. Okay, let's change the seed of the rocks as well. Okay, let's change the seed 5. Now we see the trees are going inside the Suzanne and everything else. Okay, but now we can do the same, but we have the group here. We call this group, let's call this group like geometry proximity. Okay, geometry proximity. Okay, or you can duplicate this group, or you can go here and look for the group geo proximity, so you have the same, and you will tell like, I don't want whatever the Suzanne is, I don't want any other object goes there. Okay, you just need to put your geometry here. Everything will disappear, including the ground, of course. Let's not put the ground here, let's put the ground here. The ground must be beyond everything, or better, let's copy this guy, put one join geometry here, and just put the ground like way ahead, so we don't play around with the ground anymore. Okay, ground separate. Okay, so now you have this here, and you just have the instance that must be removed, all the instance, but you must tell proximity with, oh my goodness, my Blender is so slow now. Which object is proximity? That's a problem with the Blender in my machine. I don't know what is happening. Eventually Blender keeps stuck in. I think it's something with my video card, I don't know. And then you tell like Blender the proximity with this, the Suzanne, everything will be deleted. Okay, so basically if the Suzanne distance starts to kind of increase, the tendency is that all the objects must to be back. Okay, and let's crank the value. No, that's I did that. That is wrong. Okay, I basically need this guy to be here, and this guy must be here. Okay, here we go. Now that makes sense. Okay, why? Because this is the object, the instance that must be removed. Okay, based on the proximity object. Okay, here and here. So here we go. Now we have no objects interacting or intersecting to each other. Okay, if I increase the amount of Suzannes on our scene, you see the other objects will be reduced. Okay, because we have more Suzannes and no objects are kind of coming back here. No more objects are coming back. Okay, so now what you can do to have this system always available for you. Okay, what I would do, I would like use this as a fake user. Okay, I'll press this guy as a fake user, and let me grab this scatter. I would have this guy as a fake user, and the scatter based system and the geometry proximity would always be here if I have these guys as my startup file. Okay, I just need to go here and save this guy as my startup file. Okay, startup file, and every time I open the file I will have this system here. In order to just check that, let's grab this guy, scatter, let's put, scatter base. Let's copy this because I don't want to replace my system. Okay, I will open Blender 3.5. maybe it doesn't crash like 3.4. something is happening on my 3.4. I have no idea. Maybe it's an add-on or it's something. Okay, let's bring this guy, this collection here, paste. Okay, and let's delete this guy. Okay, this guy has this is a geometry nodes, a fake user. Okay, fake user. So I will delete this. I will delete all these assets here. Delete hierarchy, and I will save these guys as my startup file. Okay, full save as a startup file. Okay, so if I open again Blender 3.5, okay, let me bring this video here. I open again this Blender 3.5. If I set a plane here, go to my geometry nodes. Okay, and here in my geometry nodes, if I look for the groups, I will have the scatter base always here. Okay, so I can have the scatter base, put it here, bam. And then inside here I would have my whole system ready for me. Okay, let's just try something. Let's add a cube, put the cube inside the cube collection. Okay, take a Suzanne, create a Suzanne, and put this inside Suzanne collection. Okay, and now we can even ungroup this guy, so we will have everything here. Okay, we have everything here, right? Just know I don't want to go inside all the time, so yeah. And then you have these guys here. Just need to add a cube here, and maybe add a Suzanne here. And if you don't want this to be affecting, if you don't have any other objects to affect here, just remove this geometry proximity. You don't need it. You don't need this guy. Okay, and that's it. You have everything here, right? Everything is working already as you expect. You will always have your scatter objects. If you see viewport on, off, right? Look at this, on, off, on, off. Okay, you can even take these two guys and bring it here, so you have inside your geometry nodes this option here at modifier level. I think it's easier for you, but the rest here inside is good enough, right? you have the scale, mean and maximum. You see, as I'm reducing the scale, the other geometry starts to appear. It's just because the proximity of the objects are not influencing anymore. Okay, each of the objects. Okay, if you don't want the proximity to be influenced, nothing of this. If you don't want the proximity object happening here, you just need to press Ctrl X, delete this, and just connect all of them, and that's it. So you don't need to worry about if the density is influencing anything, right? So you can just increase, crank your density factor. Okay, everything, nothing will be affected, but you still have the possibility of seeing everything as a proxy. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys like it. I hope this tutorial gives you some feedback over the collections and how to view them, make them useful for every time you open your scene. You will have your collection ready to go. So it's just a matter of applying whatever you want. And that's it. See you soon. Bye bye.